Good evening again. Just after the previous message, a couple of usual participants in the disruptive abuse arrogantly got into traffic signs to loudly say, Albert's Owls. You know, they're just sneering, remorseless, relentless abuse criminals. When they say that, they're also saying, Ralph, we know that you were the pallbearer in Albert Hartman's funeral back when you were 11-year-old, but Albert did something into you meant that you were supposed to grow up to be gays like us. And every time you try to be different, that the result is what you're hearing again. So they interrupted again to say, how many other people experience being a pallbearer in a funeral when you're 11-year-old, respectfully caring about a father you would assume passed away, who turns out to be a real arrogant, egotistical criminal who starts making himself known in your later life while liking to say that he in some ways usurps all of your work to force you to the roadside. You know, one of the early in life tricks before Albert Hartman staged his death in Miami was an incident of, incident that he described snipe hunting. Took me out to an old overgrown vegetable patch and gave me a paper grocery bag. And he walked me out into the overgrown cabbage patch. And he says, okay, it was early in the night. And so he said, okay, just stand right there and hold that garbage bag open just above the weeds. And he says, then he went to the other side of the field saying, okay, I'm going to chase the snipes into your bag, all right? So I'm standing there wondering why my dad is saying, I don't even know what he meant by a snipe. So I guess I'm getting ready to see some strange little birds fly low above the cabbage patch into my bag. So anyway, I stood there and waited, holding the paper grocery bag just above the weeds horizontally, waiting for the mysterious little birds to somehow fly into it. But it never happened. So I started to walk to the other side of the field, and I found out that my father had driven away and just left me out there. Well, you know, that was typical about what their plan was. As a matter of fact, there might even be an evidence of it near a very small town named Hartman in southeastern Colorado. If you look, I think it's on Bing Maps. If you look to a place closely out of town where there isn't anything around, you see the name Hartman. So anyway, I just wanted to mention again, there is a substantial amount of evidence, but he's a very egotistical man, and I think it was Albert Hartman who one time says that he never gets in trouble because he always gets away to Germany. So anyway, it's really a difficult matter, and I know that there are some matters besides witnessing that is provable. There are other matters and indications that aren't necessarily provable, and one of them just coincidentally occurred yesterday. When I was out on Bee Ridge Road, sitting on the corner of McEachin. I had noticed on MSN News a feature about a restored World War II era German Luftwaffe jet and a Messerschmitt 262. There was an article about it online yesterday. I didn't read it, but I saw the ad for it. So anyway, yesterday, by the time I was out on the corner of McEachin, I was facing west, and a vivid image of an oversized, very large ME-262 occurred closely just above the traffic, and I think it was pointed east. Just for a moment, kind of a pale bluish-gray color. Now, it wasn't really there, and if it was there, these days aircraft would probably easily defeat it. But it reminds me of the kind of threats that I hear plaguing against our people, and probably also trying to rabble-rouse as much as they can over in Eastern Europe and in Ukraine. But I don't know about over there. But what I do know is that they do say threats against our own nation and our own people, and this person would be a representative wanting to help to make sure that the people and our nation continue to be safe instead.